Hello everybody, welcome to this video. It's been a while, but today we are going to look at creating input combos for like chaining attacks. You can see it as a very common pattern that like default attacks, well, like in beat 'em ups, right? It's very common. The default attacks can be chained. Like you have three different inputs to pull off if you time your attack input properly. So that's what we are going to make today. I'm gonna show this to you in Godot 4.3, and you'll be able to find the code in the description. Maybe I'll also upload the project. I won't upload this model here because it's mine for my own project that I'm gonna talk about at the end of the video. But yeah, you'll be able to find the code. And even the scenes, they should be cross-compatible with other 4.x versions. So let's get started. For this basic setup, just to like save us time, I got a scene up with a floor lighting because we needed to see stuff, and the character itself. I just imported this. Well, I made a new scene. This is a character, but a 3D. But to be honest, in our context, it doesn't really matter. I just imported the 3D model with this root of pick. And that came with like a bunch of stuff for the skeleton and the animation player that can actually manage our animations. You don't need to worry about the skeleton, we're not gonna really touch it this time around. We just need to look at the animation player itself. So let's look at what we want to actually like do, right? If you want a chained combo per se, then as we start playing the first of the, now I have three animations here, as we start playing the first out of the three, if we press the attack key again while this is going, we should like queue up the second attack or immediately start it. There are two different approaches to it, and we'll look at both of them, and then you can decide which one's more convenient for you. So these are the three ones. It's punch 0, punch 1, and then kick. I'll then use script. I'll just call it player character. We need the basic movement. I'll definitely get that through here. My inputs were mirrored, so I actually had to rotate the skeleton rig and change the camera orientation. But yeah, you don't need to worry about it. So if we got the default script here, right, we can move properly. And then we'll need to add this combo thingy. So first we will need an input map for attacking. I actually already did that, but if you haven't done something like that yet, we'll just type the name of the input here, add a new action, and I'll bind it to left mouse button for now. And so we know our three interactions. You can think about how you would structure it. I'll actually write it out here in comments. This is very important to do before you actually write code, just to see the vision, the idea of what you're going to code, because that's the other part, not the part where you actually write it. So you need to take the attack input, and that's where an evaluation happens. We have to store our combo chain somehow, right? Combo chain or combo count at the time, because we cannot do a chain of 4 since we only have 3 animations. 3 is the max. And the set evaluation for now in this first iteration of the code is just going to play the next attacks animation. However, the count for like this entire thing is only valid if we don't have a count, right? So if count is 0, or when that account is playing. Think about it like at any point we could just fire up the very first animation, but to move the chain forward, we need to press the attack input again while we are in the current attack animation. We could use booleans for this as well, but that's not too scalable. So I will introduce a integer for combo count, which starts at 0, and we'll have the animations in an array. Combo animations. So punch 0, punch 1, and kick. So we will take the attack input as I wrote it up there. If we just press the attack key, we will have some kind of indentation. And here we can proceed, right? We can proceed if the combo count is 0 or an attack animation is playing. Now we have to get that somehow. And we can do that using the animation player. So we need that node reference. If you don't know how to do this, you can actually look at the documentation page and you can find something worthy here. For example, the animation that's being played, you can access its name by this current animation variable. So that can be useful for us to determine whether that animation name is in this array. Oh, and that the condition is also that the count is less than the max. So we have the animation player, right? The animation player node reference. And then the count is 0 for the animation player's current animation is in the combo animations array. And I'll also export the, well, we actually don't need to export it. We could just say combo count is less than the size of that array we just created. And one of these two over here. All right. I believe that's good enough. And then we would do plus equals. But before we do plus equals, we will need to play the upcoming animation using the animation player's play function. And we can just index the array we created once again with combo count. And the reason why this works out is because when we start out, this is 0, right? So we will play the first animation, and then next up, we are gonna come in here again, then our index would be 1 if we didn't reset. And that logic just goes on and on. Let's see how this looks. Oh, yeah, I have to set the reference. I could have also just use the notepad. Okay, yeah, see, those are the three animations we were supposed to see. Now if I do it again, nothing happens. And you might have guessed why. Is because if I put a breakpoint here to see the runtime state of the code when we enter that branch, the combo count is still 3. Let's see what happens inside the if branch. Oh, yeah, let me remove that breakpoint. So we don't enter it, because the conditions block us from entering it. So with that in mind, basically we need to reset this counter back to 0 when the animation is not one of these combo animations anymore. A fancy way to do it could actually be using maybe the animation finish signal from the animation player, because basically we need to know, right? We need to know when our animation whether it changes or the current attack animation is finished. Yeah, I think finished will be fine. I'll move it up so that we see the other code. So the combo animations array has that animation name there, which is our built-in argument. Then if we were to reset the combo count, this actually wouldn't be correct, because then every time a combo animation finishes, it would always reset. So we actually need to look at the last element. I think it's like dot back. Yeah, dot back equals animation name. Then we can reset. Okay, there we go. Now I can infinitely spam this. And you can kind of see the issue here. It's like, now if I'm spamming, right? If I'm spamming, I can just like conveniently, infinitely keep repeating this without the animations actually completing. So we will need to queue them up. That's like a more, well, it's not too hard per se. It's like when an animation finishes, we need to look at whether we have anything queued to play. That's the base logic for it. And for the queue, since I could queue up 2 of the animations, right? The second and the third one, we would once again need an array just to keep it flexible. We could use booleans once again here as well, but arrays make it more flexible. Let's call this animation queue an array of strings. And then instead of saying the animation player is forced to play, then we would put the animation names into the queue itself. And when an animation finishes, we are gonna see if that queue has any elements. And if it does, then we are gonna play from that. That's the logic in theory. So when animation is done, we take the queue, but empty, we'll take the first element of the queue, meaning the 0 index element. And here as well, we'll have to queue the animations, right? I cannot just automatically do animation queue.append for all the elements here. I cannot do that because then what's gonna start playing the first animation, if you know what I mean. So I think a good approach would be to say that combo count is 0. If it's 0, then we start playing. otherwise, animation player dot sorry, animation queue dot append, and we'll just put into the queue. Or another if statement here could be that the animation player is not playing. That makes it more contextual, if you think about it, because now we are concerned about the animation player detecting what's in the queue, you know. And then this function, which corresponds to the animation finishing, we are gonna say if the queue is not empty, we will play the very first queued animation, first animation queue. It's gonna be the queues, so like the what is it, the front of it. But we need to remove it from the queue anyways, so we could use pop front. This function like removes the zero index element from the array and also returns it, so it's very convenient. Now even if I spam, see? Even when I was spamming there, it worked out pretty well. But actually, now if I try to, you can see this now, I'm clicking left click. Oh well, you can't see it, but trust me. Now I actually can't play again. I'll leave it up to you to find it here, or like, feel free to pause if you want to. The cause is this line. Because now we only reset the combo count when it's the very last animation that got finished. Instead of that, we could actually keep resetting the combo count to 0 in process if the current animation is not one of the combo animations. That also works. Or we could say combo animations contains the animation name and the queue is empty, because that means we don't have anything else waiting there. And that's about perfect. So once again, we utilize the queue to determine when is it that like a combo animation finishes, and do we have anything after it queued up? Because if not, then we can reset the combo count. Now this is good, but if I spam, so I do 1, 2, 3, so it's gonna play that whole sequence. You might want it, but if you don't want that, then we will need to add a minimum delay into this whole process. Meaning that, say, like, we need to wait 0.1 second before we can detect the next attack input, basically, to proceed with the combo. Which just means another condition here, to be fair. And this will involve something from the time singleton. It's gonna be get fixed millisecond. This is one approach. We can also use a timer. I know that's more convenient, and I'll show you how to do it with a timer. Although that's gonna involve... no, that's not gonna involve this, yeah. So I'll show you with this timestamp method. Basically, get fixed millisecond, it gives us a timestamp. So say, if I print the timestamp of every attack key. So it's like if I wait 1 second roughly, it's gonna jump by 1,000. Because this is in milliseconds. And this is the elapsed time since I booted the game. So if we log the last valid attack input maybe as an integer in here, and that's gonna be our timestamp, right? Then we could actually make a condition that we're only taking inputs if the timestamp of that input on that specific frame when I'm pressing attack is greater than the last valid attack input plus like 100 or something. 100 means 0.1 second. To make this more convenient, I typically export a variable for well, how do we call this? It's a combo minimum cooldown second. And then you can change this to milliseconds by just saying this number times 1,000, because we're converting a second to milliseconds. However, if I do it like that, let me press a breakpoint. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, never mind. It converted. Then we are good with that. So this is one way. And I'll save this out as a boolean. Can take attack input. And it's gonna be that condition. Now to do it with a timer, let's just say this is gonna be combo cooldown timer. Now we can set the wait time conveniently here. We have to make it a one shot, right? We only want it to go once when invoked. And so with the timer approach, we don't need to worry about that. For that, I'll comment that out. With the timer approach, we can actually start the timer when we make a valid attack input. So combo cooldown timer that start. We could still use this, right, and pass it in as an argument, but since we have the timers inspector anyways, it's more convenient to set the wait time there and stick to that. And then this variable here is gonna equal to the timer dot, like, oh, does this stopped? Yeah, I think this stop should be fine. We could look at the dogs though. Just to assume I actually don't know about this. Yeah, I think that will be fine. If that doesn't work, we can always just look at whether the time left is 0. Stopped is just like a bit of an ambiguous naming. But yeah, so this way we can only take attack inputs if the timer is not running. I'll set this to like 1 second, just to make sure I can't cheese it. Yeah, I cannot. So let's do like 0.3, something I can still mess up. Yeah, see, I can get it, but if I spam, even if I spam, I can get it. Okay, yeah, there. It's like... Maybe this is even too lenient. I'm not sure how long the animations actually are. 0.0 is 0.5. Oh yeah, then that shouldn't be good. And we can also set a higher limit though. It's like the same premise. If you have a higher boundary for it. And then this is the other approach I talked about, where combo timer time left equals 0 is the true condition. Yeah, I think that was actually it. Stop doesn't seem to be good. His stop isn't good for this kind of stuff because now, yeah, it's like impossible to get it if I spam. And even with 0.3. With 0.3 I can get it, but yeah, 0.5 didn't work, so that makes me assume the time left thing is... yeah, it's more reliable. Okay, yeah. So like this. Or there's also this other approach, right? If you want to be more specific than this, though, you could just have a boolean, like this thing. You could just straight up export it as a boolean, right there. And use the animations to keyframe that boolean to specify when is the time to progress with the combo. Because since now this is in the inspector, well, we should have it on true by default, I guess. And then, yeah, that's where it gets a bit tricky. Because we could either say our current animation is not one of the combo animations, or the animation player is not playing, whatever. Yeah, so this should be true by default. And if we create animations for this, or if we create a track, right, inside the first animation, then we shouldn't be able to take the combo inputs at the beginning. And maybe you could say we can do it from like this point on, but we turn it off there, right? You get the idea. It's like there's a time window for this, and now we don't have to touch code at all to manipulate the boolean there. That's more of a dynamic approach over the timer or the timestamping. So this was also perfect. Again, all of the... yeah, right. And despite turning this off, at the end we have to turn it back to true to be able to take the attack input once the animation is finished. Yeah, now if I spam, I'm not gonna get it. But if I time it roughly... yeah, it's like pretty much working. So that looks good. It's up to which approach you use. I personally use timestamps, but this is very cool as well that like you can just manipulate it through animation player. You just have to make sure you handle it properly, and also its default value should be true. If you run the animation, you're like messing around with this, it's prone to... see, it's prone to turn off false. But when you start playing an animation anyways, or well, like when you run the game, I mean, it's gonna go back to true. on its own. Let me see. Yeah, just place a breakpoint there to show you. Yeah, it's true, because in the reset track of the animation player, like we created a reset track for the Boolean, and the reset track basically just runs at the beginning of the game. So this will just make sure the Boolean gets this value at startup. And I think that's it for today. Hopefully this was useful for you. Feel free to leave any comments below. I would really appreciate feedback. And while we are looking at this guy, I told you he's for my own project. It's called Pick the Archon. It's gonna be a 3D beat 'em up game inspired by like Crash of the Titans, where you can like settle different mutants and take control over them. We are still working out the demo, so mutants aren't done yet, but that's the basic idea, mixed with a lot of platforming and things like that. I frequently keep updates here in my Discord server for the game. I'll leave a link in the description for this as well. You're free to join in. I actually post a lot of updates whenever I can about all the progression and just stuff going on. I think this was the video. I should have the... Yeah, see? I have the combo attack there. It's like literally what we just coded. And literally the same way. So there's that. And of course, if you like the video, feel free to just give me the thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time around. Bye.